Good evening, doston. So let's begin with today's session. Look at the first question. Which of the following countries are the non-European members of the NATO? So Canada is there, US is there, Australia, Colombia, and Japan ruled out. Select the correct answer using the code given below. Correct answer क्या होगा? D for Delhi, 1 and 3. Canada and America only. See, Australia, Japan, and Colombia are not the member of NATO. Plus, also remember that NATO was set up in 1949 through the Treaty of Washington. Article 5 of the Treaty of Washington, it establishes NATO as the collective security organization. और अभी till date NATO में total कितने members हैं? 32 members are there. और recent most members कौन से हैं? Sweden and Finland. Clear? तो Sweden जो है अभी हाल ही में member बना है, याद रखिएगा. Now let's move on to the explanation part. Why we picked up this question. With an eye on the Greenland, Trump turns NATO against NATO. So NATO के अंदर there's a conflict of interest. अब NATO में like there are some countries which are against Donald Trump and his action on Greenland. तो ग्रीनलैंड को लेकर के जो भी प्लान्स हैं यहाँ पे डोनाल्ड ट्रम्प के उसके अगेंस्ट में है कुछ नेटो कंट्रीज. इसलिए ये लड़ाई किसकी बन गई है? नेटो वर्सेस नेटो, राइट? याद रखिएगा. So now let's move on to the next question. Question number 2. With reference to the Gangetic dolphins, consider the following statements. The first statement says it is India's national aquatic animal. Absolutely correct. Second statement says it has been classified as vulnerable by the IUCN. No, that is not classified as vulnerable, but endangered. Right? So second statement is ruled out. Third statement says it is known as the pink river dolphin or boto. No, that's not correct. Why? Because the Amazon river dolphins are known as pink river dolphins or boto, not the Gangetic ones. So third statement is also ruled out. The fourth statement says that the Gangetic dolphins are only found in India. Please be attentive. जब भी इस तरह के absolute terms आते हैं, you have to be attentive. They are not only found in India, but also in the surrounding countries like Nepal, Bhutan, Bangladesh, right? So fourth statement is also ruled out. Question is, how many of the above statements given above is oblique are correct? So only one. So A for Ahmedabad would be the correct answer because rest of these statements are incorrect here. So look at the explanation part why we picked up this question. So there is a compelling reason. Recently an article was published in the Indian Express. अब बेसिकली किसके रिगार्डिंग है? डॉल्फिन सर्वे के रिगार्डिंग ये आर्टिकल पब्लिश हुआ है, राइट? अब प्रोजेक्ट डॉल्फिन स्टार्ट हुआ था भारत में 2020 में. जिस तरह से प्रोजेक्ट टाइगर लॉन्च हुआ था 1973 में टाइगर्स के कॉन्जर्वेशन के लिए, सिमिलरली यहाँ पे गैंजेस डॉल्फिन्स के कॉन्जर्वेशन के लिए 2020 में गवर्नमेंट ऑफ इंडिया ने प्रोजेक्ट डॉल्फिन को लॉन्च किया. अब प्रोजेक्ट डॉल्फिन के अंदर यहाँ पे इनका सर्वे हो रहा है फाइनली, और सर्वे की शुरुआत यहाँ पे यूपी में कहां से हो रही है? बिजनौर से हो रही है, राइट? सो दैट्स व्हाई वी पिक्ड दिस क्वेश्चन. और यहाँ पे देख सकते हैं the Gangetic dolphins are found in the river streams across India, Nepal, Bangladesh, and Bhutan, and not only in India, right? And they are listed as endangered and not as vulnerable, right? Now, let's move on to the next question. India is working on the establishment of its first data embassy in which of the following countries? Correct answer is D, UAE, United Arab Emirates. Look at the explanation part. अब देखिए जिस तरह से एम्बेसीज होती हैं, जिस तरह से हाई कमीशंस होते हैं, उसी तरह से हम एक डेटा एम्बेसी एस्टैब्लिश करने जा रहे हैं. कहाँ पे? यूएई में. अब एज पर दिस एग्रीमेंट जो नॉर्म्स हैं वो होस्ट कंट्री के होंगे. क्लियर? तो एम्बेसी ऑपरेट्स अंडर द होस्ट कंट्रीज लॉ, but the home country means India retains exclusive access and control over its data. So in this India UAE agreement, India's critical data such as the financial records, public database may be digitally backed up in UAE, but will remain accessible only to India and its authorized representatives. Clear? Now let's move on to the next question. So look at the question number 4. With reference to the Gir National Park and Asiatic lions, consider the following statements. The first statement says Gir National Park is located in the Junagadh district of Gujarat and it is the only natural habitat of the Asiatic lion. Absolutely correct. Second statement is it was declared a wildlife sanctuary in 1965 and a national park in 1975. Again correct. The third statement says the IUCN status of the Asiatic lion is vulnerable. No, that's not vulnerable. That is endangered. So third statement is incorrect here. इनफैक्ट आप एलिमिनेशन का इस्तेमाल भी कर सकते थे अगर आपको सिर्फ ये भी पता होता कि एशियाटिक लायंस जो है वो इंडेंजर्ड हैं, तो B, C and D all are ruled out. We are left with only option A. So question है which of these statements given above is oblique are correct? Correct answer होगा A for Ahmedabad. अब यहाँ पे देख लेते हैं हम explanation में that why we picked up this question. So there is a strong reason. यहाँ पे community है that is सिद्दी बादशाह कम्युनिटी. ये बेसिकली अफ्रीका से बिलोंग करती है और लाइक आज से सदियों पहले इस कम्युनिटी को यहाँ पे लाइक 300 साल पहले यहाँ पे इस कम्युनिटी को बसाया गया था. Clear? So studies suggest that the Siddhis were brought to India by the Portuguese to work for the king of Junagadh 300 years ago. Right? तो याद रखिएगा इसको. The Asiatic lion is classified as endangered and not vulnerable. तो एक आर्टिकल ये अभी recently publish हुआ था इसलिए हमने इस क्वेश्चन को पिक किया है. Now, let's move on to the next question. Question number 5. With reference to the Economic Survey of India, consider the following statements. The first statement says, it is presented by the government before the union budget to assess the overall economic condition, economic health of the country. Absolutely correct. The second statement says, it is prepared by the Department of Economic Affairs under the Ministry of Finance. Absolutely correct. Again, correct. The third statement says, the Economic Survey was first presented as a separate document from the Union Budget in 1950-51. No, that is not correct. It was first presented as a separate document in 1964 and not in 1950-51. Question is, which of these statements given above is oblique are correct? So only two statements are correct here, 1 and 2. So A for Ahmedabad would be the correct answer here. Now let's move on to the explanation part. अभी हाल ही में आपने देखा होगा कि आज ही इकोनॉमिक सर्वे पब्लिश हो चुका है, which clearly says that India is a bright star in the dark region. Clear? So look at this one. Because the economic survey became a separate document in 1964 and not in 1950-51. Clear? Now let's move on to the next question. Question number 6. Which of the following departments fall within the Ministry of Defense of India? Department of Military Affairs, absolutely correct. ये सबसे recent most department है जिसको establish किया गया था. और पहले head कौन बने थे इसके? इस बेसिकली पहले CDS कौन बने थे? पहले CDS बने थे जनरल बिपिन रावत. Okay, late General Bipin Rawat. Second one is Department of Defense Production, again correct. Department of Ex-Servicemen Welfare, again correct. Department of Atomic Energy, this is ruled out. Why? Because Department of Atomic Energy, it is a separate department which works under the jurisdiction of Prime Minister's Office. तो ये directly Prime Minister Office के supervision में काम करता है. तो यहाँ पे 1, 2 and 3 would be the correct answer, right? So look at the explanation part. Recently, an article was published in the Hindu, which talks about the defense acquisition committees not for recent defense purchases worth rupees 79,000 crore rupees. Clear? तो यहाँ पे देखिएगा मिनिस्ट्री ऑफ डिफेंस में डिपार्टमेंट्स हैं, डिपार्टमेंट ऑफ डिफेंस, मिलिट्री अफेयर्स, डिफेंस प्रोडक्शन, DRDO एंड डिपार्टमेंट ऑफ एक्स सर्विसमैन वेलफेयर, राइट? वन मोर थिंग इज दैट याद रखिएगा कि डिफेंस एक्विजिशन कमेटी जो है, डिफेंस एक्विजिशन काउंसिल, इसको हेड करते हैं डिफेंस मिनिस्टर, राइट? नाउ लेट्स मूव ऑन टू द नेक्स्ट क्वेश्चन. क्वेश्चन नंबर 7. विद रेफरेंस टू इंजीनियरिंग एक्सपोर्ट प्रमोशन काउंसिल ऑफ इंडिया, कंसीडर द फॉलोइंग स्टेटमेंट्स. The first statement says it is sponsored by the Ministry of Commerce and Industry. Absolutely correct. Second statement says it was set up in 1955 to promote India's engineering exports. Again correct. Third statement says it functions as a statutory regulatory authority. No, that's not a regulatory authority. Third statement is ruled out. Fourth statement says a majority of its members belong to the MSME, micro, small and medium enterprises sector. This is correct. So 1, 2 and 4 are correct. Clear? So A is the correct answer. यहाँ पे पूछा हुआ है. Which of these statements given above is oblique are correct? So look at the explanation part. EPEC urges lowering of the IT for the non-corporate MSMEs. ये रीजन था इस आर्टिकल के इस क्वेश्चन को पिक करने के पीछे. अब चलते हैं आगे नेक्स्ट क्वेश्चन की तरफ. क्वेश्चन नंबर 8 is with reference to Pangolakha Wildlife Sanctuary, consider the following statements. The first statement says it is located in Arunachal Pradesh and shares its boundary with Myanmar. No, it is situated in the state of Sikkim and not in the state of Arunachal Pradesh. Second statement is it is characterized mainly by the mangrove and the coastal wetland ecosystem. No, that's not correct. First of all, सिक्किम का कोई coastal belt है ही नहीं, कोई coastal area नहीं है. उसकी सिर्फ land border एक ही Indian state से मिलती है, that is West Bengal. Clear? This is also incorrect. Question is which of these statements given above is oblique are correct? So neither 1 nor 2. Clear? Now let's move on to the explanation part. So you can see here why we picked up this question. Forest fire continues in Sikkim's Pangolakha Wildlife Sanctuary near Indo-China border. Clear? So it is connected to the forest of Bhutan, Neora Valley National Park of West Bengal. And it has alpine, temperate, and subtropical forest ecosystem and not the mangrove and the coastal wetlands. याद रखिएगा. Now, let's move on to the next question. So, question number 9. With reference to Fulkari, consider the following statements. The first statement says it is a traditional embroidery art originating from Punjab region, including the present day of Haryana and Pakistan. Absolutely correct. Second statement says the term Fulkari literally means golden thread and originated during the Mughal period. No, that's not correct. It originated, basically इसका जो origin है वो Persian है. Clear? मतलब ईरान से influenced है ये. और ईरान में सिमिलरली एक लाइक एम्ब्रॉयडरी होती है दैट इज गुलकारी. So question is which of these statements given above is oblique are correct? Only one. Clear? यहाँ देखिएगा why we picked up this question. There is a strong reason. So you can see here. So recently an article was published on this embroidery, the Fulkari exhibition that reflects the interior world of the women. Clear? So Fulkari means the flower work, not the golden thread. And while it has historical influences, the term is linked to the 18th century Punjabi literature and possibly the Iranian Gulkari, not specifically to the Mughal period. Clear? Now let's move on to the next question, question number 10. So with reference to the joint sitting of parliament, consider the following statements. The first statement says a joint sitting of parliament can be summoned for resolving deadlocks on the money bills and the constitutional amendment bills. No, that's not correct. See, a joint sitting of the parliament can never be held on these two subjects, money bill and the constitutional amendment bills. तो ज्वाइंट सिटिंग सिर्फ और सिर्फ एक इन जनरल एक नॉर्मल बिल पे हो सकती है, कॉन्स्टिट्यूशनल अमेंडमेंट बिल या फिर मनी बिल पे नहीं हो सकती है, उसके एक्सेप्शंस हैं. फर्स्ट स्टेटमेंट इज एब्सोल्युटली इनकरेक्ट है. सेकंड स्टेटमेंट इज इन अ जॉइंट सिटिंग the chairperson of the Rajya Sabha presides over the proceedings as per the constitutional convention. No, that's not correct. It is presided over by the speaker Lok Sabha. And in case if the speaker is absent, then the deputy speaker of Lok Sabha. Is that understood? So both these statements are incorrect here. Which of these statements given above is oblique are correct? So neither one nor two. D for Delhi would be the correct answer, right? देखिए अभी तक के till date तीन जॉइंट सेशंस हुए हैं. पहला जॉइंट सेशन हुआ था डाउरी प्रोहिबिशन एक्ट पे, दूसरा हुआ था बैंकिंग सर्विसेज एक्ट पे, और तीसरा और लास्ट जो जॉइंट सिटिंग था वो हुआ था लाइक पोटा पे, प्रिवेंशन ऑफ टेररिज्म एक्ट 2002 पे हुआ था जब वाजपेयी जी प्रधानमंत्री थे. सो याद रखिएगा विच ऑफ दीज स्टेटमेंट्स गिवन अबव इज ऑब्लिक आर करेक्ट. सो नाइदर वन नॉर टू. डी फॉर दिल्ली वुड बी द करेक्ट आंसर, right? You can see the explanation here. So three bills that have been passed through the joint sitting are the Dowry Prohibition Bill of 1961, then the Banking Services Commission Repeal Bill of 1978, and the Prevention of Terrorism Bill of 2002. One more thing दोस्तों याद रखिएगा, जब भी इस तरह की joint sitting होती है तो joint sitting के केस में जो bills हैं वो simple majority के थ्रू पास किए जाते हैं, not through the special majority. Clear? So this was the last क्वेश्चन ऑफ टुडे सेशन. हम मिलेंगे दोस्तों अपने नेक्स्ट सेशन में. उम्मीद करता हूं कि आप सब जो हैं वो इन सेशंस को एंजॉय कर रहे हैं. अगर आपका कोई भी रिकमेंडेशन कोई भी सुझाव है तो प्लीज देना मत भूलिएगा. मिलते हैं नेक्स्ट सेशन में. बाय बाय, टेक केयर, जय हिंद.